Here I have some base 10 blocks, and I'm going to let this flat here be one hole. And so that means this long here is going to be 1/10, because 10 of these make a hole. So what do I have here? I have 1, 2, 3, 3 holes, and then 1, 2, 3, 4/10. So I'm showing here 3 and 4/10. Now what I want to do is I want to demonstrate how to do takeaway, subtraction. So how do I subtract 1 and 7/10 from 3 and 4/10? So, I mean, I could easily take 1, and I want to take 7/10, but there's only 4/10 to take, and this is a solid thing, right? I can't just take it from that, so I got a problem. So takeaway at the moment, I can't do. Now, subtract also means compare, so I could show what 1 and 7/10 look like. So there's 1. There's 5/10, 2 more 7/10. Okay, so then I want to compare them. Well, these two could compare, right? I can match those up. And then I can compare some of these, but my comparison is incomplete. So if I'm trying to answer the question, how much more is 3 and 4/10 than 1 and 7/10, can't quite do that with comparison either, because I've got some leftover in both pieces. So they didn't completely match up. But they should partially match up, and that's just not enough. So what's the problem here? The problem is I got to trade. I got to trade one of these holes for 10 of these here to make this happen. Okay, and if I trade, I can't do the subtraction. I can't show how to get the answer. You might be wondering, well, why would you want to show that? Just write it down. What do you mean, just write it down? Now, kids at first don't know how to do this. And you'd say, well, just tell them to borrow. Well, how do you borrow? What does borrow really mean? Borrow means trade, in this case, a hole for some tenths in order to make that happen. So I'm gonna draw it out instead of using the blocks, because you probably don't have access to the blocks. So here is my problem again. I want to know what is 3 and 4/10 subtract 1 and 7/10. And then over here, so this is going to be my key. So this one right here is one hole. And then the green one then would be 1/10 of that hole. And then the yellow one up here would be 1/100th of that hole. So then I have to show, okay, what does 3 and 4/10 look like, and what does 1 and 7/10 look like? And I could either use takeaway model or comparison model. So in this case, I think I'm going to go for the comparison. So I'm just going to be up front. What the heck does subtraction mean? Subtract means to compare. Okay, so what does compare mean in this context? It would mean how much larger is 3 and 4/10? How much more than 1 and 7/10? So I need to show this. I need to show both 3 and 4/10 and 1 and 7/10. So I'm going to draw this out. And so since this is a little harder than drawing on paper, I'm just going to copy some of my toys here. So I need 1, 2, oops. Like when I do that, 2, 3. So there's 3. And then I need my 4/10. There. So either you got to get something to play with, actual blocks, virtual blocks, or you got to draw them out on paper. So here I pre-drew a couple so that they're to the right scale. So there's my 3 and 4/10. I want to compare that with this is 3, 4/10. to my 1 7/10. So let's get another 1 here. So you can draw it out on your own, grab the actual toys, or grab some virtual ones. And I'll share a link under this video in the description to the app that does this too. So there's one. Actually, let's copy a whole bunch at once. So here's my 7. And get rid of that extra. So again, when we try to do the comparison, so I could say, well, let's see, this one right here matches with that one right there. I want all of the smaller one to be matched up with the bigger one because that should be possible. But then all of a sudden when I start matching these guys here, again, like I showed earlier, I run out. So I matched 4 there with 4 there, and these still need to match somewhere. So we got to do a trade. So there's no way around it here. So this here was my 1 7/10, and my match is incomplete. So I'm just going to make a note. Incomplete comparison. Similar, if we tried to do a takeaway, it would be incomplete takeaway. We didn't take everything away. So I need to trade above 1 whole. I don't have enough tenths for 10 tenths. So I'm just going to slide some of this stuff out of the way. Let's grab all of this. Nice thing about virtual paper. So this one right here, or this one right here, let's say it's going to be my trade. So this is going to be gone. And I'm going to replace it with a whole bunch of these guys here. So let's do that. And whether you're doing with this with virtual toys or on paper, it's a lot of work. Again, because we're trying to demonstrate. And if you do draw these on paper, you want to make sure things are proportional, meaning that 10 tenths make a whole visually. Getting there. So my pieces don't quite line up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. All right, so I just did my trade for 10 tenths. So I guess we can pull that out. And I can't get to that line in the back. Oh. So now I can continue with my comparison. So let's get that back up. So I had marked off, let's see, 4 of those. So then I'm going to have 1, that one, this one, and this one are paired up. So again, these guys are paired up. They compare. And then all of these guys have been compared away. 1 whole to 1 whole, 7 tenths to 7 tenths, and then we just count and see what's left in that comparison. So this is left right here. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up there. So we have 1 whole and 7 tenths left. So it looks like 3 and 4 tenths is 1 7 tenths more than 1 7 tenths. Or we could write as 3 4/10 compared to 1 7/10 is also 1 7/10. So I had to do a trade in order for this to happen. Who cares about the trade? Well, the point of the trade is when we write this out in our standard algorithm, so this whole picture and explanation is a model. Oops. And I try to say, what's 4 take away 7, 4/10 take away 7/10? I can't do that, right? And then we always do this thing where we cross out that 3, we make it a 2, we put a 1 right there. Why did we do that? Well, it's related to what we did up here. We rewrote 3 4/10, right? Literally 3 4/10 as 2 14/10. In. 3 4/10 is 2 14/10. That's what allows me to make this comparison. Without that, I can't do it, right? You've got to do this right here. This picture shows why we do that borrowing. So 14/10 take away 7/10 is still 7/10. 2 holes take away 1 hole is 1 hole. So this is how I can explain why we borrow in our algorithm, why 3 4/10 take away 1 7/10 or 3 4/10 compared to 1 7/10 leaves us 1 7/10. All right, hope that was helpful. Take care. Do good math.